What are you doing?
Eating water. I'm trying to show people what a calorie looks like.
Where's the food?
There isn't any. That's the point. Are you still counting calories? If you are and are frustrated by it, we are about to save you a lot of time and aggravation. After you watch this video, you will never want to count calories again.
At Simply Diabetes, we can help you manage your diabetes cheaper and easier.
We are not medical professionals. We are people with diabetes, just like you.
Welcome. We were always told that counting calories is hugely important in diabetes, that the number of calories we eat versus the calories we burn determines our weight and blood glucose. Eat more calories than you burn, and you get fat. Burn more calories than you eat, and you lose weight.
But our bodies are much more complicated than this. We are not walking furnaces. We use food for a lot more than just for energy, and we've been ignoring this fact for far too long. Calories were never meant to describe food. In this video, we look at why calorie counting doesn't give us the info we want. We will also touch upon what to do instead.
People talk about calories all the time, but do we know for sure what that word means?
If you ask around, most people will tell you something like this. Calories tell us how fat the food will make us if we eat it. Most people think of calories as something to measure and track and cut and burn so that they manage their diet and achieve better health.
But calories were never meant to describe food.
No. Here's how calories came to be. In the 1820s, a French chemist, Nicolas Clement, wanted to study heat. Now, this is science, so in order to study something, you must measure it. So Clement dutifully defined a unit of heat he named a calorie. Here's his definition. 1 calorie is the amount of heat needed to raise the temperature of water by 1 degree Celsius. That's it. That's the definition. There's nothing about food, fat, gaining or losing weight, or anything like that. This is what I was showing you at the beginning of this video.
You are such a geek. If your eyes glaze over at the mention of studying science, don't worry. We are done with the hard stuff. But I can just imagine the excited Clement madly designing the apparatus for capturing heat from burning various materials. This apparatus is called a calorimeter, and you need one to measure calories exactly. This is why we don't measure calories at home. It's too complicated and we don't have the equipment.
Clement designed the calorimeter and began scouring his lab for things to test. I don't know how many scientists you know, but the ones we know are crazy excited about their research and new ideas. They would climb on the rooftop and yell about their discoveries to the entire world if they could. Clement was probably excited too, enthusiastically burning whatever he could find to determine how many calories each item had. Can you imagine the excited guy grabbing a sheet of paper or a piece of wood and happily discovering how many calories each had? Finally, he noticed his leftover sandwich and burned it in his newly designed apparatus to figure out how many calories his lunch had. He never imagined the misery he inadvertently would put us diabetics through 2 centuries later. He didn't mean to say anything about nutrition. I forgive him.
So you're saying that by definition, anything that can generate heat has calories? The tank of gas in your car, furniture in your house, uranium in a reactor, and yes, our food all have calories.
Exactly. Over time, scientists realized that heat is just a form of energy, and we already have a way to measure energy in general. There's no need for a special new units of measure just for heat. They abandoned the calorie, but for some reason, nutritionists picked it up. Look, here's a simple way of scientifically comparing different foods And so a calorie, which was never intended for food, stuck around to our collective misery.
Calorie content tells us very little about the food we are eating and its effect on our bodies. We were sold this super simple formula of calories in and calories out, and people grabbed onto it because it sounds good, but it's wrong.
We kind of know the formula is not true. Let's look at an example just to make sure. Let's look at two portions of foods that both contain 150 calories. We compare potato chips and carrots. The potato chips contain lots of simple carbs, unhealthy fats, way too much salt, and very little else. Not many minerals or vitamins, and not much fiber.
In contrast, carrots have fiber, vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. Nobody sane would say these are equivalent, and yet when we count calories, this is exactly what we do. We dutifully write down the number of calories we ate, track it down in an app, and we proudly cut down on the calories to fit the predetermined number.
We know that one food is not the same as another, and people now pay attention to the quality of food. But we still use the old way of thinking. We still think of food as simply a source of energy and nothing else. While it's true that a body uses food for energy, this is not the only function of food. We are not walking furnaces. We are complex biochemical factories when many different processes happen simultaneously.
Our bodies busily build new cells and get rid of the old ones. We grow our hair and nails. Where does the building material for these activities come from? Food. We don't burn it all, we use it in many different ways. The calorie in, calorie out model never accounts for any of this. But every food particle we don't use for energy shouldn't count towards our calories because it isn't used for energy.
It gets more complicated than this. We completely ignore the fact that we use different digestive processes for different foods. We, in fact, burn nothing at all. There are different biochemical processes inside our bodies. There's a separate process for digesting carbs, another for protein, and a different one for fats. Each one of these takes a different amount of energy to digest. Our model never considers that. Here's another thing that hardly anyone talks about, but is important. Not every calorie we eat is usable. If a food contains fiber, we don't digest it. I like to think of fiber as a broom. It sweeps all the remnants of the digestion process stuck in our gut and helps us get rid of them by pooping. If you don't eat fiber, heaven help you on the toilet.
Wait, but fiber burns, so by our definition of a calorie, it does have some. These are included in the total value for a meal, even though we don't ever use them.
Right. So if we really wanted to be scientific about it, we should subtract the calories from fiber from the total calories of the meal. Nobody ever does that.
Okay, so now we know that calories aren't really that useful, but we have diabetes and we need to pay attention to food.
We do. At the same time, we don't want to all become nutrition scientists. We want a simpler way to judge our food. And that's why, instead of calories, we pay most attention to carbs.
Why focus on carbs?
Because of all the foods we eat, carbs raise the blood sugar the most and the quickest, especially simple carbs or sugars.
We don't say don't eat carbs, we don't even count them precisely. We simply are aware of them and cut down on the simple carbs. We welcome fiber, which is a good carb.
We have a lot of tips about that, but that's a separate video.
So what about all these people who carefully count calories and say that's the reason they lost weight and got better blood sugars?
We are not telling people what to do. Keep counting calories if you want, but if you track food this carefully, you are at the same time cutting down on it. Anytime you do that, you lose weight. But there are easier and less frustrating ways to get our sugar down. No need to drive yourself nuts.
We focus on carbs with good results, and it makes our lives much easier.
So, what do you think? Did we convince you to rethink calories? Tell us in the comments.
If you found this video useful or thought-provoking, give us a like and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to tell your friends.
We have a lot more about how we manage our diabetes in our books, available on Amazon. I included the links below. We can manage diabetes cheaper and easier.
See you next time.